So we go to decisions, outcomes, and cost. We are still on decision trees. So when we talk about decisions, it means it's a process of you are making a choice. And when you are making this choice, you are analyzing or you're gathering information to analyze different resolution. That is what a decision is about. So that decision has to take place. You have to take a decision. Why are you taking this decision? Because you have different alternatives. So you want to think about option A, option B, option C. So which should I go for? That is what decision means. So you have to gather information. You have to identify, you have to gather information. Then you assess the alternatives that are available. That is about decision. Then outcomes, the result, the conclusion reached. So now that you have made a decision, what is the result of that decision? What is the conclusion reached when you're taking that decision? So because whenever there's a decision, there will be an outcome, the result. That's about outcome. So it's like I wrote here, it is a conclusion reached through a process of logical thinking. So that means before you take a decision, you would have done a logical thinking. You've thought about it, then you've concluded that, oh, option A is the best. So what option A is going to give to you is decision, the result. Then we talk about cost. So when we talk about cost is basically the price you have to pay in the course of taking that decision. The value of the numerical figure that has to be paid in the course of taking that decision. That is cost. So yeah, the cost which should be used for decision making are often referred to as relevant costs. So why do we call them relevant costs? We call them relevant costs because they aid the process of taking decision. Without that figure, without that amount of money, you won't be able to, decisions you will take it, but it helps you in that course of action. So that's why I said these are costs appropriate to aid in the making of specific decisions. So you would have taken a decision. This is the expected outcome. But how will you be able to carry out this decision? Being able to carry out this decision will come with a cost, with a price. So the price of taking a decision is the cost. Mm-hmm. You get the difference between decision, outcome, and cost now. Decision means that you are making a choice by identifying different alternatives that are available. You've decided, you've identified, you've gathered information. Before you take a decision, you have to gather information. Remember when we started yesterday, I said, most of the time people will take decisions. When they take this decision might be risky. Why do we consider it being risky? It might be considered being risky because of two situations. One, the outcome is uncertain. You don't know what, yes, you have forecasted what the result should be. It might not come that way. It is a probability. And two, you might not have sufficient information to base your decision. Those are the two things about why we call our decision taking or making a risk. Now we have decision tree at the bottom, page 83. Please look at them. Mm-hmm. So this is the analysis. I wrote the analysis already. Here they said to sell immediately. So we have we have the first node where decision is being taken. That's the first node A. So decision has to be taken there. So sell immediately at the current price of 0.6 million. So this is a farmer. What this decision tree is talking about here is that there's a farmer that if he needs to sell his land immediately, he's going to earn 6 million pounds. 0.6 million, that's 600,000 pounds. 0.6. Yeah, that's 600,000 pounds. But if he has to wait for a year, that is another decision. So if he's going to take that decision, there are three situations on it. There's probability for improve, unchanged, and worsen. So if there's going to be an upturn if there's going to be an upturn improvement in the land, that means if he has to wait for a year before he sells, there could be an upturn improvement on that land, which means he will be able to sell for 1 million pounds. And if the value remains the same, it will still have to sell at 600,000. Yeah. And there's a likelihood that the situation gets worsened. But the probability is 0.2. So if the situation gets worsened, he would have to sell it for 0.5. Do you get? So the farmer has to, yes? Yeah, the probability of it, yeah, that's, so we have, the probability we have is 0.3, which means that there could be an upturn improvement if he waits for a year. But if it remains the same, that means he will still sell it the same way, the same amount he was to sell it. He was about to sell it a year ago.
Yeah.
So that is a decision tree. Then, do you understand that?
Yeah.
Circle, okay? Then we have C, which is also another decision here. If either he seek for planning permission, which has a cost. If he seek for planning commission or permission, it has to pay. He has to pay 5 million or 500,000 pounds for that planning permission. That's if there's a planning permission. Then what happens here? If he refuses, if he refuses to pay for the planning permission, he will have to pay 800,000 pounds. At that situation, then he would sell for 0.3. The probability of selling at 0.3 is 1 million. If it doesn't change, it will sell the same as 0.6. And if the worst scenario, it will sell the same as 0.5. But if he obtains a planning permission, are you seeing it at now? The next decision he has to take, which is in the square, which is E, either to obtain the planning permission for 200,000 pounds, then he decides to sell or to develop and sell. So he has two options there. Are you with me, please?
Yeah.
So the first option says, if he obtains the planning permission, he can sell at a good price, 10 million. Why? Because there's a planning permission.
Yeah.
So government has approved it. So this is an advantage for him. So if he wants to sell without developing it, he's going to sell at a good price, he's going to sell for 10 million. At a lower price, he's going to sell for 6 million.
That's the same land, right?
The same land, yes. But if he wants to develop and sell, that means he has to pay, that will cost him 5 million pounds.
Yeah.
To develop and say that is the cost of that decision in E. Do you get it there?
Yeah.
If he has to sell, if he has to develop and sell, the cost will be 5 million pounds. But at a very good price of 25 million.
But 0.3. So
it's 0.3. Yeah. The probability of selling at a good price is 0.3.
Yeah.
And the lowest price he would sell is 0.7, which is at 10 million. Either ways, he's still going to make profit.
Yeah.
Because the cost is 5 million and the lowest price he could sell is 10 million.
Yeah.
Do you understand? So these are what we call decision tree. Any question about it? So you have to think about decision. You have to check through the node. The node tells you, the node is used to take decision. Then the alternatives you have is what is in the circle. So different alternatives you have.
Okay.
Do you have any question about it?
Yeah.
Okay. So that is about decision tree. You said there's no question, right?
Yeah.
So all the analyses are done at the bottom. For you to get the expected monetary value, what you have to do is, okay, let's just check for E. When you take decision about E, the probability of a good price is 0.4, right? 0.4 multiplied by 10 gives you 4 million.
Okay.
That's the profit.
Yeah.
The success, that's the success. Minus the failure is 0.6 multiplied by 6 million. Whatever it gives you, you take it away from 6 million. That's your EMV.
Yeah.
That is if you have to sell immediately, if you have to sell after obtaining the planning permission. Then if you have to develop and sell, the success is 0.3, that's the probability is 0.3. You multiply it with the price, which is 25 million. And the failure is 0.7, which you have to multiply by 10. So whatever you get, you take it away from the success. That's how you get your estimated market monetary value.
Okay.
Do you have any question about it?
No.
So if you have to take decision now based on this, like, oh, what should I do? Should I sell immediately? If I'm selling immediately, that land, what would have happened that would make you want to sell immediately? It means the market has crashed. The market for land is depressed. So if you want to reduce your risk, you have to sell it immediately. Then, and because of you taking your decision, the first thing that comes to your mind is, oh, if I have to sell right now, I'm going to sell for 600,000. If I have to sell after a year, I might be able to sell at 1 million. I might be able to sell at 600,000 if there is an if there's an upturn improvement. Then I will be able to sell it at 1 million, which means I will be gaining 400,000. If the situation remains the same, I will still sell at the same price that it was last year. And if it's a worst scenario, I might be losing 100,000, which means I have to sell for 500,000. How do you get this analysis? It means the farmer would have ensured that he gets experts advice before he concludes on this. These are expert advice. Do you understand? So these are all expert advice that will make you to be able to take decisions. Any question about it?
No.
Okay.